video, I just want to say don't forget to smash that like button down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified every time I upload, and comment down below your thoughts about it. Don't forget to enjoy!
Hello everybody, this is our next session in the relationship workshop, and I'd advise you all to come and join us and work on your relationships, because it will only be free till me and the few starting people who started get what they want. And after that, it's going to have to start costing money once we get what we want. So come join us, work together, make the work all the stronger, and we'll get your problems done, my problems done, their problems done, and we'll all be happy at the end. So please come join us. Okay. Let me just change the default layout over here to video chat. There we go. Okay, so today we're going to work on core beliefs and other distortions of reality. Okay, many of the beliefs that we have today, and this is something that I was just discussing with Oriab a few moments ago, are beliefs that we got when we were younger. And they become core beliefs because that's the way that we were raised. And I can give you a small example of one of my core beliefs that I got when I was younger. And that's that my parents always had this thing about giving honor to your older siblings, or people older than you in general, not just older siblings. But because I happen to be the youngest in my family, I have a sister who's 1 year older than me and a brother who's 2 years older than me. And mind you, 1 year and 2 years older is older, but it's really the same thing. It's not like they were 10, 15 years older than I was. But what they always gave me is that I deserve to get the very best as long as my sister wasn't there, because my sister's older. And if I have the best and she comes, I need to give it over to her. And just as a small example, when they rented an apartment and they had a bed and a mattress, and as long as it was just me sleeping there, they told me to sleep on the bed, and they made up the bed for me. But when my sister came to sleep there, and I was there as well, I moved down to the mattress, and she got the bed. Now, it seems like it's a very small thing, and who really cares where you sleep and all that, but when it's a constant thing going on throughout your life, that this is happening all the time, and I'm sure they had their reasons for it, they had their belief system for it, and all that, the message that I got was, I always have to give up what I have to someone who's better than me. And I remember at a certain point, I even had said to myself, I'd rather just take the lesser thing and not have to give it up. Why do I always have to give up what I have? And my parents would get angry at me for that. Like I would say, I just want to sleep on the mattress. I don't want to go on the bed. And they would get angry and say, no one's here. Sleep on the bed. I don't want to sleep on the mattress if no one else is here. But the message was not a good message for me. Whether that's what they intended to give me or not is really irrelevant, because the nature of any communication is what the person who receives the communication gets at the end of the day. So the message that I got was, if there's someone who's worthier than me around, I have to give up what I have to that person who is worthier. Now, I do understand, there's a certain element of, when a president walks into the room or a king walks into the room, everyone stands up and gives the person honor. And I would even say, to the extent of, if the king comes and says, I want what you have over there, most people would probably give it. But it would probably be from a place of fear, because if they don't give the king what the king is asking for, then the king might put them in jail, might imprison them. I don't know if it works in today's world. Certainly that's the way it was in yesteryear, when the kings ruled all the countries. But their idea was that even if it was someone who was just a year older than me, if they come in, I have to give up what I have to them. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of my life about what happened about that. People who know me well know me pretty much how that affected my life and how it affected me. And now that I know that core belief, I can change that core belief. And I have. I've changed now to, I deserve to get the best and I deserve to keep the best. And one more step over that is that by me keeping the best, I'm not taking away from anybody else. When you say that I have to give up what I have in order to give it to somebody else, I'm working in a world of scarcity, because there's not enough to go around for everybody. And so if I have it, the other person doesn't have it. I'm taking away from them. And that's not the type of world that I want to live in. The world that I want to live in is a world of abundance, where there's enough of everything to go around for everybody. And by me getting what I have, I'm not taking away from anybody else. Any comments, Oria?
Yeah. Like what you're saying is kind of resonate with me.
Hmm.
You know, we live in a world of of consumption, like um, where we're being bombarded with with advertising, and
Right.
most of advertising styles is to um, to make scarcity even though there is no scarcity.
Right.
Like, sale of the last moment, only the 10 first people get the discount, only,
Right.
only 10 products are left, the first gets the better price, and such. Why don't they want to sell?
Right.
Why, don't they want to sell more to 1,000 people or to 10,000 people? You know, it's a method to market,
It
to
creates a
make
scarcity
people,
mindset.
yeah, like to make scarcity even though there isn't.
Right.
So we're so used to it,
Mm,
uh, in the Western world, and now even in the Eastern world. Like, and once we grew up this way with all this consciousness that uh, there is always something in scarcity.
right. Very right.
Um,
And if you don't take it now, then you're going to miss out on it. Even if it's something that you don't need.
Even if this is something you don't need, exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Because the moment you believe that there's scarcity, then suddenly you need it more than ever. If you don't believe that there's scarcity, if you believe it's going to be around another, 10 years now when you will need it, you won't buy it now. You'll buy it in 10 years from now when you do need it. So, and I know that that runs through my mind a lot also when I'm cleaning up my house and I see something and I'm like, well, I don't need this now, but when I do need it, I'm never going to find it again. I'm never going to find it in the stores. I'm never going to be able to buy it again. So I better keep it. And then what happens is you have a whole bunch of clutter in your house that you don't use, you don't need because you don't need it right now, but you just believe in that scarcity that it's not going to be here when you do need it. Now, the truth of the matter is that doesn't work because you never find it when you need it anyway. So you might as well just get rid of it. And when you need it, something will come up. Have that belief. It will always come up when you need it.
Right, right. Um, yeah, and I think if what you said, that you grew up this way, it definitely programs your mind to seek, to, like, you will meet the same.
You will meet what you believe about yourself. There's no question about that. Yeah. You
Yeah,
believe what you believe about yourself, and you will meet what you believe you are worthy of, what you believe that you can have.
right.
Now, I'm saying this, with quotation marks. I don't like to label anybody as a person who is lesser, a person who is, but certainly it was not the right relationship for me. Now, this person who I happen to have married, my ex, who our marriage was, a terrible marriage, and there were lots of different layers, and there was, abuse going on and things like that. But he's remarried now, and at this point, it happens to be a great marriage. So, what I get from that is that I attracted to myself what I believed I deserved, or what I believed I could have, what I believed I could have and I could keep. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? It's not necessarily that he was someone who was broken, or he was someone who was bad, or he was some. It just what I felt I deserved, and what I felt I deserved and could keep. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So, so that's why I put with quotation marks that the person who I attracted was a, I don't know, bad person or abusive person, whatever. And he's gone through his share of, work as well that he's done on himself. So I'm sure that's changed things as well. But when we were married, that was the situation. So let's see what the practice that she gives us over here. Okay. What was a significant disappointment that I endured in my childhood?
What was the significant
Disappointment
right?
that I endured in my childhood.
Enduring is lasting for a long time, right?
Right. That I had to, it's not even lasted for a long time, but something that I had to go through in my childhood.
Disappointment. All right.
Yeah. Okay, and how did it affect my life? And I'm going to use the example that I just gave, because my disappointment was that I always had to give up what I had for my older sister.
Right. Hmm. Well, I can say that I found out this week, like I was reflecting on what we were doing,
Mm-hmm.
that I found that first of all, my father wasn't very present
Mm-hmm.
at home, like he was in Navy. So
Right.
he would go for long periods of time to sail on the ships, and when he comes back, he would be at home like for very short periods of time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the kind of uh, disappointment that I had as a
Right.
child. Like I got used to the fact that uh, that
The
the
people around you
father
weren't around.
wasn't around, and there was like nobody there for me to balance what my mom thought or talk to me or whatever.
Right.
Like,
He was also, you had a good relationship with your father, right?
we had a good relationship, but distant.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, he was so far away and not present.
Let me just ask you a question. That statement that you just said right now, think about your first marriage.
Um, for sure, yeah. I
Does that
just
like reflect? I mean, he was there physically, but in terms of emotionally, he was distant and not present.
sure, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
very much, very much. So um, this is the kind of the first thing that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is also related to scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that my brother, that was 8 years older than me,
Right.
we used to have a very big uh, bedroom, both of us, and we used to have two beds and sleep in the same bedroom until he went to the army.
Wow. That's pretty old
Yeah,
for a boy and a girl to be sleeping together, like a even brother and sister.
yeah, but I was like 10, or like I was 10 years old. He was 8 years older than me.
Yes, it's still, I would not put an 18-year-old boy with a 10-year-old girl, brother and sister, in the same room. It's one thing if they have to sleep together one night because there's lots of guests over or you're in a hotel. It's another thing if you're sleeping there like that on a regular basis,
Right.
especially not a teenage boy. I think it would be a little bit different if the girl was 18 and the boy was 10, but even then I wouldn't do it. It's simply puts things in places where you have less control of what can go on. I would be worried personally.
Well, you know, he was also many hours not at home.
Yeah, but he slept at home.
Sure, of course.
Okay, that's all that
But
counts. Sorry.
we had a very good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
All that could be true. Just use your imagination a little bit. 18-year-old boy, 10-year-old girl, not a good place.
yeah,
Long term, not a good place. One night, 5 nights, fine. Long term, not a good place. As good a relationship as you have.
yeah,
Just think about it, right?
yeah. Like when I have two kids,
Mm-hmm.
they slept in the same room. But they never slept in the same room. We always separated them.
So I had 6 kids. The older 5 slept in the same room till my eldest son was around 9, and my first daughter was 6, and then I separated them. Girls in one room, boys in another room.
Mm.
And I think that was already overdue as well.
Mm.
I think I could have done that earlier. The fact that there was 5 of them together is a little bit different than just having 2, one boy and one girl. But still, I think it was a little bit overdue, in my humble opinion. Just by knowing human nature and curiosity. Not even, for a 9-year-old boy, I don't think in general he would do anything on purpose, but there's a certain natural curiosity that children have. Simple as that. But an 18-year-old boy with a 10-year-old girl living long-term together, that would be, in my eyes, a red light. Now, I'm not saying anything happened, God forbid. I'm just saying that would be a red light for me.
So, I wanted my own room, and I don't remember if there was a point that they turned, a half room into a whole room. I think they sealed it
Right.
with windows.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time to remembering, but I remember that I did wanted my own room, and it took a long time till I got it.
You got
And
it.
then we moved to another apartment that there was a separate room for each of us.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, he basically also moved out of the house at 18. He has the army and then university, or did he live at home for university? Your brother, didn't he go to the army at 18?
he did.
So it was only when he came home that you were together then. You weren't.
Yeah. And he came home like once a month for a
And for those of
weekend.
you who live in other countries who are watching this, in Israel at age 18, both boys and girls go to the army for a period of, I think it changes time, but it used to be like for 3 years. Now it's a little bit less than 3 years.
Yes.
So.
What I remember is that the moment he went to the army, he almost stopped coming home.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Right.
he almost, I almost didn't see him.
Yeah, that's what happens in the army.
At all. Like, there are people who are serving in the army and that would come, every weekend or, twice a
So
week.
it depends what you're doing. And
Yeah,
it also
where?
depends. It also depends on how much he actually wanted to get out of the house. Because if you were
Right.
affected by your mother, I'm sure he was affected by your mother as well.
Right.
So if he decided he didn't want to go back to the house, it's very easy in the army to get extra things to do, number one, or you just end up going to friends' houses.
Right.
So it depends a lot on, there's a lot of factors in play over there.
Right. So like there was, for me it was good because I got a room of my own, and after
Right.
that we we also moved to a bigger apartment. But yeah, it's kind of now that you say it, I didn't think of that before.
Right.
But now that you say it, yeah, for a 10 years old girl and an 18 years old boy. But he had a very wealthy and rich and social life. He would be.
I'm not saying that anything went on. I wasn't, intimating that in the least bit. All I'm saying is that in general, I wouldn't put a 18-year-old
Yeah,
boy with a 10-year-old girl for long term inside a room together, sleeping in a room together. That's what my point I was making there. I wasn't saying anything went on, and I don't think, I think you would have known had something going on. You would have felt it. You
yeah,
would have felt it. But I'm
yeah,
saying in general, that would be my inclination to not put them together.
yeah.
So
And that's the kind of scarcity that I.
yeah, it is scarcity because you can't have your own room.
Yeah.
You have your own privacy. Okay, so what did I make this disappointment mean about the world and other people? And I can think of an example from you, but I'll let you come up with it. I mean, since I'm working with you, I do know, part of your life. And you know how I made it a part of my life, my, how do you say, this disappointment. I married the guy that would fit the bill, that would make me feel like I was second best.
Second best. Yeah.
Which, by the way, is probably why I didn't keep him. Because there are people who will get into abusive marriages where their husband doesn't necessarily make them feel like they're second best, but doesn't leave them alone in terms of the abuse. With me, it was like he did leave me alone. So probably I was the second best. He went to the first best. It was part of my program also, in a way. Just being honest here.
Mm. Yeah.
So how did this disappointment of yours affect your life and the world and other people around you?
Well, the first thing is that the relationship that I was married to, um, simulate that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Think so, right?
Think some more. Let's see if you can come up with what popped into my mind based on my knowledge of your life. Think about the specific example that you gave me.
Yeah, you say that that the father wasn't there
Okay,
emotionally.
yeah. But we're talking about the rooms now that you were talking about.
The rooms,
Yeah.
yeah, like you don't have privacy.
Similar to that, where did you live for years and years
After I got divorced.
after you got divorced? Yeah. Where did you
Oh,
live for years and years?
okay, that's
Understand the correlation that I'm making?
yeah. Hmm.
Okay. And I'm not saying
So
there's anything good or bad about
the
it.
program is still running. You say,
No, no, it's not, because now you're living with your partner. That's totally different.
right,
You've changed the program.
right.
Most people, after they get divorced, after they've been on their own, have their own kids and all that, don't end up moving back into the parents' house.
Right,
And for a long time, we worked on that issue about moving out, having your
right.
own place.
Mm,
Okay, we worked through it because now you're living with your partner, and that's where it's supposed to be.
right.
Living with your partner is normal. You know, and I'm not saying it's not normal to live with your mother. I'm saying that if you don't want to live with your mother, then it's not normal to live with your mother, unless you're
Mm,
running some program that's making you live there.
mm,
And whether it's because you don't believe that you can have your own place doesn't make a difference. The initial program is you're going to live with your mother, and we're going to find all the excuses under the sun why you have to live over there, even though you don't want to. even though you want your own place.
Right.
Right? All these issues have many, many layers to it. It's not just a one layer thing and you get rid. I mean, sometimes it is. When you're lucky, it is. But for most of these deep-seated core issues, there are many different layers to it, which you work through. But you start seeing the improvements as you work through them. It's not like you have to work through all 50 of them until you see any improvement. You can work on the first one and you see, oh, I moved someplace else. I'm not the same place I was beforehand. But then something else comes up. Then you work at that one, and then, oh, I moved a bit further up. I'm not there, right? So there can be many, many layers to it, or it can be a one, or two layer thing, and then you're done with it. It depends how deep seated it is, and how long you've been carrying it around, and how many proofs you've collected along the way to prove that that's true. Right?
Right.
Okay. Now, what is an alternative?
I just want to give hope to other people, who are watching, and say that sometimes, like for me, it took like years to get out of the old programming.
But then it happens overnight, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember when you told me overnight, I found
years upon years of working, right?
Yeah. Well, it also took years of trying to find out what the actual issue was for you, for me also. And then once you find what the issue is, that's already half the way. Then the rest of it, because it's not, I don't know if it's easier, but you already know the path that you need to take to get rid of it. Till you find it is the first half. Because you were looking for a long time. You did a lot of different therapies.
Right. Yes.
Right. And then I remember, we were working how many, like 3 years together? And we've cut through a lot of things during those 3 years. And then suddenly one day you said to me, I have a boyfriend. It was like overnight.
Right.
So you're right. Once you find what the issue is, that disappointment, whatever it is, the core belief that you have, and you change it, things can change overnight. That's definitely true. Yeah. And sometimes.
So just to give hope, to others who are struggling and, facing some, core issues, reality,
Right.
that,
Right.
that it may take some time to work it out, but never lose hope, keep on working on the things, because once the picture is changed,
it's changed.
Things, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Everything.
And I can add one more thing to that is when you suddenly find that those core beliefs that have been holding you back or keeping you in a place where you don't want to be, it's a very, very freeing feeling and experience. Right. It puts you in a place of power where you say, okay, I know the core belief. Now I can change it. I don't have to keep that core belief anymore. It no longer serves me. Right. So it puts you in a place of a good empowerment.
Right.
So, okay. So I would say it was an alternative interpretation of this experience. I'm not sure I necessarily need the alternative interpretation, because I just go inside and I change the interpretation using, whether it be tapping, spinning, EMDR, the dial method, any of the above, or any other ones you might have. But if it works for you to give it an alternative interpretation, and, I am sure my parents had their own programs that they were running. It's what they knew. Maybe when they were younger, they experienced it also. Of course, both my parents were oldest children, interestingly enough. So maybe that's what they got when they were younger, and they just said, this works. Hey, let's continue the process, because they were never in the place of the youngest who had to always be giving it up for those older children. Just an idea that just popped into my head. And I'm not blaming my parents. And I think in general, when we are younger and we don't have control over what's happening to us, because our parents are the ones who are making decisions, we don't have necessarily that much choice. We can rebel. Life can become harder at points or others when you're rebelling against your parents while you're still living over there. but that's irrelevant. I'm not talking about that. The question is what you do with it once you're an adult. Because what's in your past does not define you. Once you're an adult, you have the power to go and change whatever programs you had from beforehand to create new programs that will fit your life that you actually want to be living, and not necessarily keep the life that your parents decided for you.
Right.
So if it works for you to give an alternative interpretation, then that's fine. Go ahead, think of that alternative interpretation. For me, I generally use the tapping, and when I use the tapping, I change my memory. I change what I'm holding inside of me so that when I look back now, I don't necessarily, even though I know that's what happened, I don't see it happening anymore. I see other things happening. And what I see inside of me is what actually rules what's going to be in my future, not what I know actually happened. The past is the past, but that doesn't have to be my perception of it. So do you want to work on changing interpretation, or are you okay with the way it is now?
Or what you can.
Do you want to keep it the way that Robert Smith calls it the flip. When you flip the memory and you no longer have that in your mind, you have other things in your mind. Which would you prefer doing? Or have you, you've done it already, because, you look at your life and you see the proofs of what you hold inside of you. That's the bottom line.
Right. But I think I worked on most of those things,
Right. Okay. So we'll leave it. You actually have to get going also, because it's already 9:53.
Okay,
So
so you want to close
I
it?
think we'll end here. I think we've covered this, the core beliefs. We've given good examples of it, and we've shown how we can change it. We didn't actually change it over here. Both of us have changed it on our own already, or with each other's help. So we're not getting into that over here. But for all you people in the audience, just think about the core beliefs that you hold about yourself, that you got from your parents, your other caregivers. If you need help working them out, you can contact me. You can come to the workshop. We'll work on it together over here. Either way, or you can find someone else to work with it. That's your choice. So have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget, if you like this video, leave a like down below, subscribe to my channel, or subscribe to my newsletter. The address is right down below over there. Have a great week.